Well, good evening, all, and Shanti. Welcome, welcome, welcome on this chilly night. Thank you for coming in person and nice little group tonight. And hello, Zoomers. I always honor the Zoomers who are here, not only in spirit, but in body somewhere, right? Okay, so tonight, before we begin with the main event, which is Sister Anjani, whom I know many of you know, we have a special guest this evening, and I call Sister Kala a special guest, even though actually I found out that Sister Kala was the coordinator of Harmony House before she became the coordinator of Peace Village. And you know, I've always spoken about Peace Village as our upstate retreat home that I encourage all of you to visit. I mean, my first visit there was 17 years ago before I was a student here. And it's just so beautiful and offers many, many lovely courses. But Sister Kala has to leave us shortly. So I will tell you that she will speak to us briefly, and then we will hear Sister Anjani. And of course, the theme tonight is the power of love. And tonight we will be talking about the love of God. And so, Sister Kala, without further ado, please come up and share the evening with us. And you know, while she's coming up, you know how I often say that so many of the sisters and brothers here were professionals, people who had full-time occupations. Sister Kala is a pediatrician, and the people who live at the centers actually gave up their professions to do this full time, but many put on suits and ties or whatever all day and do whatever they need to do and then come back and put on a wing. So, Sister Kala, thank you for joining us.
Good evening, and Om Shanti. Thank you for beautiful introduction, Luis. And yes, Harmony House is one of my favorite places in the world in terms of space, holding the space, especially for experiencing something that we are going to be talking about today. Because you might say, what does a space have to do with it? Do you have to really go to a temple? Do you really have to go to a place to experience your sacredness, or to experience, or even to pray? Probably not. You don't have to do anything. But the fact is that these things do add to our experience. And this is why I think you all come here, right? On Thursday evenings. One thing is to be at home and comfortably listen to what someone has to say, but to actually kind of envelop yourself, physically, with that physical space that has been infiltrated, that has been filled with vibrations of what we're going to be talking about. That gives a different experience. So yes, it's the 1st of February. I was remembering this morning, and it's supposed to be, and most people relate to February as the month of love, right? Because of that one day in the middle of the month that we celebrate as a day of love. So the whole month gets to be a month of love. And we are running this series, obviously, with that in mind. Today's topic especially is, where does it all begin? Love. Who would you really look up to time and again for experiencing love? Of course, we have over the years and over our lifetime and lifetimes perhaps look to each other, for being acknowledged with that relationship of love. But as with everything else, what we are here while on the spiritual path is really to examine and explore, where does it all begin? Where did it all begin? Because if we could go back to the beginning, perhaps we could start a new beginning again, right? Anything that you know a beginning of, it gives you such a fresh feeling. Oh, it used to be like that in the beginning. Even a place, for example, we gather pictures and we say, this is how it used to be in the beginning. We gather our childhood photos and we say, oh, this is how I looked in the beginning. So my question today to us all is, how does love look like or feel like in the beginning? How would it have looked like or felt like in the beginning of time, beginning of your life, or beginning before anything else began to kind of infiltrate it, or give it its own shape? So this is why we said, let's start with the love of God, because we always see and speak of him as a source. Right? Where does all energy come from? For example, we say, who do we look up to for, right? Say light. We say sun. We go to the source. So if we were to talk about this beautiful quality of love, where would it begin from? Of course, we would say, yes, it began in my childhood with my love of my parents, love of my this. But where did my parents get it from? They must have gotten it from somewhere. Where did they get it from? They must have gotten it from somewhere. And this is why when we look around and we see children, for example, who have not received that love, and if we look at their story and their history and everything, how did they grow up to be equally not being able to give that to others, right? So the source, going back, whether in terms of time or in terms of our own experiences, everything goes back to what we are able to receive from the source. And one more beautiful thing about how we look at, things here, especially things of spiritual nature here, is that just because it was ages ago, years ago, we don't remember how it must have looked like. That doesn't have to be a barrier for us to experience it again. This is the beauty of human consciousness, that you can transcend space, you can transcend time, you can transcend even all your memories of not being loved whatsoever, right? And you can go back to that time of being totally embraced in God's love. You can call it the beginning way back when, but you can call it also the beginning right now, this moment. Can be a beginning like that also. And it's what we experience in meditation, truly, isn't it? We put an end to everything that's happened until this moment for the day. For example, when you were sitting for half an hour, whatever. What were we trying to do? We were trying to be in that moment, in the moment, right? So many thoughts would have come and gone. This happened, that happened, so-and-so said this, or I should have done this. But we say no to all of that. And we act as if nothing has happened today to disturb me from my beginning state, my original state of being, which is the state of love. of peace, of power, right? All of those beautiful qualities of the soul that exist forever, that has no beginning, no end. Yes, of course, we go through life, we go through time, we go through this physical world, as travelers, and those experiences can change momentarily. But still, the memory of that original quality of love, for example, the experience of that love, I hold very deeply inside. So there is that very, very, I would say permanent, constant memory bank that I have inside that I can retrieve from, I can draw from, right? That I can never say, oh, I'm overdrawn or I'm empty or I don't have enough balance or whatever. But there is that, beautiful stored energy there of what I have received as love of God from the beginning times. And this is why we believe that this particular time in history of humanity is so significant, because if you look at externally speaking, you're finding less and less of those amenities, those qualities that we want to experience right outside there. But it's not to say that we have totally run out, but it's to say that we haven't looked in the right places. We have not been able to draw that love and peace and all those beautiful qualities that we ourselves have inside of ourselves. And to me, when I speak about God's love, the love of God being the beginning, the source of all love, what it's really telling me is that's the one love that really allows me to look at myself honestly and acknowledge those beautiful qualities that I have still inside of me. It's not, usually what we have been doing is we have been looking outside for somebody to tell me I love you. I didn't hear that from you. I didn't hear that from you. When was the last time you said that to me? Right? Of course, sometimes we remember, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we say it superficially. Sometimes we really mean what we say. Sometimes we don't want to say it no matter what. I just don't love you, whatever. So that can fluctuate. This give and take from you and me and, somebody else can fluctuate. But the beauty of the love of God is that no matter what we have been through, no matter what we have done, what I have done, sorry, personally speaking, individually speaking, no matter what I have been through, no matter what I have done, no matter what I think of God, no matter if I'm totally rejecting the love of God or whatever God has to give me, but doesn't make any difference to that one. Doesn't make any difference to the one that is love, because that one only knows love, doesn't know anything else, right? But the only thing is we don't know what that love is like or feels like, because we're so used to, again, the physical form of love. We don't know what that pure spiritual love means or what it looks like, what it feels like. What would it do to me? Would it be anything that comes to me in a physical way that I can appreciate, I can recognize? I think so, right? We need to have some kind of a physical medium in order to, experience even that pure spiritual. And again, go back to times, it would have come in a different way at another time, but how is it coming to me today at this time? How can I feel that? And to me, that purest, way of expressing God's love is what we are doing right now, is being able to share about things about the soul self, spiritual self, the original qualities of the self. To know for me, personally for me, to know that I don't have to look outside, but I am love, peace, beautiful, all of those qualities. That's my gift of God's love. When He told me, or when I heard these, beautiful versions, you can call it versions, but it came as words, it came as spoken words. But those spoken words were not just, came out of nothing, but it meant truth. It means reality. And when you begin to think about that, is it really? Because this is what you usually ask even each other. When I say, I love you, somebody asks me, really? 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 So what does really mean for me? It's only when I go inside and find out, really, am I loved? Really, am I peace? Really, am I? So I have to be real to my own self. And this is really for me, the proof of God's love, that God wants me to know myself in my own real form, which is nothing but pure love, pure peace, pure power, pure wisdom, all of those qualities that I hold inside of me. And to recognize and to acknowledge this is who I am, first and foremost. Everything else came later. But everything else took precedence, and I kind of forgot about what was first, what was at the beginning. And now it's time for me to go back to that beginning, to that source, whether you call it that time or that moment of experiencing where it all began, forgetting everything else, is that I am a product of God's love. I am a creation of God's love. He has created me with great love. And what does that mean? That all of God's qualities are also within me. So for me, this is where it all begins, right? Of course, the beginning is only the beginning. But once you have the right beginning, you can go in the right path, you can write the right story, you can find the right destination, all of that. But I think it's very important to start at the beginning, at the right beginning. And for me, that's where it all starts, with God and my relationship with God. To understand that in a pure way, I think this is what we all, I wouldn't say try, but this is what we all have very, very deep in our hearts, that we should all come to that point of recognition and acknowledgement and acceptance of how beautiful we are as God's creation. And we are truly the creation of God's. Only I have to remind myself, and one of the ways of reminding myself is, of course, meditation. But the other way of reminding myself is how I act, how I live my life. So put these two things together, and you have the proof that you are God's creation, made with a lot of love. So I know there is a lot more, and Sister Anjani is going to take you through a lot more of beautiful ideas and thoughts. And just wanted to share a few things while I'm here. Thank you for the opportunity. Sister Anjani invited me, and thank you, Louis. for having me in the evening program today. Om Shanti. Om.
Our great pleasure, and thank you for making time for us. And now you're gonna speed away. Fly, keep flying. You teach us to fly. Oh, how beautiful. So, um, so we believe here that we have God's DNA, that He created us out of love. So without raising your hands, how many of you can really trust that and believe that? Don't even raise your hand. How many of you grew up and it was difficult to believe that? Yeah. So me too. But I'm amazed that, do you know that just between Zoom and the people sitting here, we will have about 50 people. And then when this is over, we have YouTube and we have scores of other people who will also decide they want to spend their time listening to the program here, even if they work in the evenings. I have a mailing list. I make it easy for few people to see because there's something here that I wanted, and that's why I'm standing here with a microphone, I guess, after 8 years of being a student and 17 years of going to Peace Village. So we're here because we're seekers of something that Sister Kala just told us is really inside ourselves, right? So the more I come here, the more I learn to believe that. So I'm so glad everybody's here and that we are reaching out to a lot more people than we think we are every night. It's beautiful to me to watch that in this world that can sometimes be disappointing, we have something here you can count on, right? Raise your hand if you agree to that. Yeah? Okay, here we are. Zoomers, raise your hands. So I know Sister Anjani, whoa, she disappeared. I thought she was behind me. She is no stranger to all of you. She even has a little gift for you as you leave this evening. And this is the month of love. Um, I want to tell you a little secret. Our guests tend to write, you all get an email with the blurb. They tend to write it themselves pretty much, little editing. And when we decided the topic was going to be the love of God, Sister Anjani wrote, "When I remember God, my mind fills with His sweet love, and the feelings of an eternal and wonderful experience grows. To spend time in His remembrance creates a power for my everyday use. Daily, I know God loves me." So we have someone who's going to sit here and come from the same place that Sister Kala came from, but in her own special way, sharing with us her views. And her faith is so solid. Is she here now? Yes, so solid. And I have the pleasure of really doing spending a lot of time with Sister Anjani, whose spirituality just, to use the vernacular, blows me away. Every single time I go home, I feel rich because I know what she represents. So, are you ready to talk to us about love? Okay, Sister Anjani, the coordinator of Harmony House. Did you come right after Sister Kala?
Harmony House was bought in 92. Sister Kala was the main foundation for that because she was living just across the street. So she was the one who saw this space and so she was in the beginning of this baby being born. And I came 2 years later, I think, yeah.
And what was this space before?
Christian Science Church.
Christian Science Church. So it does look kind of churchy.
And now this is a landmark property. It's going to be 100 years soon.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, the mic is yours. Thank you, Sister.
Thank you, Sister Louise. So it's lovely to be with all of you again this evening. Exploring and sharing from this feeling of God's love. Yes, everyone have experienced God's love, right? Yes. Everyone has experienced God's love in some way, some form. And what has happened to you through that love. You know, when you love a human being, before people get married and they know each other for a number of years, what happens? It creates a bonding relationship. Then they decide that, yes, I will settle my life with this person because I feel we are compatible and one can live together. Doesn't matter if later on different stories have happened, but this is how their journey begins. And they decide that, yes, we're going to share life together. And so it's coming to know that person. It's coming to understand that person. It's coming to understand the likes and dislikes of that person. And that person understanding your likes and dislikes. And so you meet with that. And we know that when those things don't meet together, then there is another aspect of life, which is separation. But with God, there is no separation. With God, everything grows. It's like getting younger and younger and more beautiful and more powerful. And so for my personal experience, when I think of God, I think that before I even know about God in the sense of understanding him, who he is and what he stands for. But the deities that I used to remember as God, I had a lot of love for them. I would be lost in that love of that feeling that, you know, they're close to me and I'm close to them. But it was not knowing them. It was just knowing that these are images, and in my mind, I'm thinking of God. But when I understood that I am a soul and the soul belonged to God, and this relationship got formed between the soul and God, it was like instantly there was that experience of a power. It was an experience of a love that was like in the form of a powerful silence that just made me move, that start to give me that feeling that life is different than what you were living. What you were doing is not the same, but it's not in words, it's not in thoughts, but it's like a movement. It's like a dance within that created a total shift internally. And yes, I had to start understanding this one and where this feeling, this experience is coming. I didn't call it love. I didn't put name to it. I didn't put words to it. I didn't put virtues and qualities because I had no knowledge about the study of all of that. It was just the feeling, just the experience, which just lights up your inner world, my inner world. And that brought me to start studying what this is all about. And the study, when I look at it, what the study is all about is about the self and my relationship with God. How close am I to God? How do I feel when I am with him? Just like one knows how you feel when you come here. How do you feel when you are with those you care for, you have love for? Now, am I aware of my own feelings that when I am with God, how do I feel? I don't think it's something that we pause before and look at, because we would pray and we think that's enough. We love God, so we followed the routine of picking up the scriptures, and yes, you chant some mantras or read something from the books. And so all those are, you feel you're close to God. But I feel that knowing this being, as Sister Kala was describing, This being is that original source. Knowing this being as the one that the soul eternally knows. The soul eternally has a relationship with, whether I remember it or not. The subconscious memory has that experience, has that feeling. And so when the knowledge trickles in to the soul, into our awareness, and we are awakened to this thought that, well, I belong to God. I forever belong to God. No one can give me God and no one can take God away from me. But it's an eternal relationship that is just forever. And you're like, wow, really? I can belong to God. I can know this being. And not only do I know this being, but this being knows me. And I think this being knows me more than I know myself, because it is this being who will tell me who I am, who would give me the experience of who I am, who would make me feel that belonging. And that belonging is that which enriches the soul. It makes you feel very comfortable. It makes you feel that everything is easy, even though everything is difficult. What might be very, very, very challenging and very difficult for someone, when one experiences this love of God, it's as though everything is so simple. Nothing feels like a challenge when we are in that relationship and that connectedness. Everything becomes easy. You know, when I look into my own life and looking at my journey, I see there were times when things came up in front of me and I felt it was impossible. But in front of me, I'm seeing this as impossible. And in the soul's relationship and connection with that being would say, no, it's easy. It's not impossible. And then what happens? The relationship and the power received from God made everything easy. Even things which I would think I can't do, I don't know. I saw that what this love did, because I think God has an interesting way of loving us. His love is very gentle, very sweet, while we see it and we experience it through knowledge, because it's a knowledge that creates an understanding of that relationship. But it's also a feeling of a presence that make the things that which I feel might be difficult, this being works through you. Do you have that experience? It's as though you think it's difficult. You can't do it. It's not possible. I don't think I can go through with this. But there is something of an energy which is quietly seeping through and moving the being and just making everything happen from there. And so when I look at my life, I find that everything is easy. Everything is beautiful. And everything is growing. It has a growth, just like a seed. You plant a seed, and then a week later, you see the growth of that seed. Now, I see that same feeling, that same experience between myself and God. And I feel that it's not that he has to love me more every day, but his love is always like it's the ocean. But it's for me as the child, I go to him in that relationship of a child. Well, one of my favorite relationship besides parent and child relationship or friend or teacher or guide is this feeling that God gets everything done, whatever it is that I have to do. He do it for me. He moves me. I feel waking up early hours of the morning can be a challenge, right? But why it becomes easy? Because you know this gentle whisper, or this gentle thought and feeling is there that awakens you, that you look forward for meeting this one. Now that's how he makes it easy, because he flows with the energy of love. The soul receives that love and makes that become very easy. So waking up early hours of the morning becomes very easy because of receiving. And that's the way he nurtures us. This is the way he cares for us. This is the way God sustains us with his love. It's through all these different means. Then we say, okay, we're going to study with God. Because here at the Brahma Kumaris, we say God is our teacher. He teaches us. Now, we could become lazy students, or we could become very good students, right? We have a choice. And so again, it's how this thought and feeling comes through what we have to do in terms of our study. Because here we study at 6 a.m. Is there anywhere that they study at 6 o'clock in the morning? And so those who are joining on Zoom or those who come here, 6 a.m. And so what are we doing studying at that time? How is that possible? Am I doing it as a routine? Am I doing it because someone told me this is what I have to do? Am I doing it because of many, many reasons? No. I'm doing it because this teacher, who is God, is sharing that love with me to make me do that in a very natural way. I look forward for my morning to study. So what is it that I'm studying? I'm studying how I can become closer to him. I'm studying how to make life easy. I'm studying to understand that there will be many challenges that will be in front of me today. And so what do I need to do so that I can face those challenges? So it's that love which comes through that being to me, that prepares me and wants me and helps me to receive more, to experience more, to create a life of easiness when I have to study. And then if we look at, sometimes I look at the things that has to happen here. Sometimes we all work here as volunteers. No one is a paid staff here at Global Harmony House, right? Whether you come and help when we have a program, or those who come on a regular basis and help, everything is, and everyone is volunteering their service. But there are times that our volunteers are not here. And there might be extra volume of things that has to happen. Now, how does it happen? Sometimes I'm alone. But I never felt that I'm alone to make anything happen. Never. And you may be living by yourself or having 2 or 3 people, and you will feel that, it's very difficult to go through the day with the things that you have to do. And here we have a big home, and the whole big family will come, and so many things have to happen, and all of that. But once again, it's how that love is received. And the more our hearts is open to speak to that one, to make that being who is the ocean of love and who loves me. And I would always say, you love me more than anyone else in the world. Sorry.
You spoke about getting up early in the morning. And I find I don't remember the last time I needed an alarm to wake me, unless I was sick. wasn't feeling well. Because if I have a desire to get up and meet God at 4 a.m., all I need is the desire, and the good parent, you talked about a parent-child relationship, will wake me. And I never used to get up early at that hour before COVID, before I became a more serious student here. So that's the love. It's the reciprocity. But if I ask, it's given. And I'm
Right.
hearing that in what you're saying.
That's right.
Yeah, on a personal level, we can all do that. Just play with it.
And so that's a personal story, and it's everyone's personal journey with really feeling the closeness of God. And really, if I ask everyone, and there's some who are students here, everyone have experienced this love, and how this love is making each one of us to do the things we would never dream of doing. Right, Michelle? Yeah. Would you dream of doing some of the things that you're doing here? Even simple thing like following a vegetarian diet, a pure lifestyle. It could be a challenge for anyone. You tell someone, do it. But what makes us do it? What makes us move in that direction? It's God's love. And so it is a love that it's not first we are going to him with that love. But I feel that, and that is why we don't say God here more, we say Baba. And I'm sure everyone would have heard this word Baba before, because it brings me into a closeness. And so the feeling is that God loves me. And because of his love, he makes it so easy for me that whatever it is, and that's where I was sharing the story, that no matter if I am alone and I have so many things to do and to accomplish, I feel it's his love that moves me to make the things happen. Sometimes the weather is bad and many cannot even show up for what they have to get done. Still, everything works out. There is never a time when we would say that what has to get accomplished doesn't get accomplished. It does. How and why? And it's sometimes if you look back, you say, but how did that happen? But how did it happen? It's that source of love who provides us with the power, who provides us with everything we need. And that's the form of, I would say, it nurtures and sustains us. So if we have to ask ourselves, really, what is love? How would you recognize love? What are the qualities that makes you recognize love? I can ask, everyone can share a quality. What makes you recognize whether the love within yourself, the love from someone, or the love of God? What would you share? What would you feel? And what have you received? Everyone is experienced in this. Yeah? Who wants to share? Jennifer? It can be any form of love, but how would you know that this is love? How would you know? How would you recognize it?
Om Shanti, I'm Tushar. So to me, when I feel contented and peaceful, that's when I feel or experience love.
Great. Thank you.
I just recollected something. I have felt the hand of God gently guiding me, like literally physically. I don't always listen. That's my struggle. That's my ego. And have most certainly been awoken at 4 a.m. and awoken early and felt as if something else woke me up. And then I and then I go through a struggle sometimes because it's like, okay, I know somebody else spoke me up, and because it feels very natural.
Mhm.
And so, I'm going to try to go with that more often if I can.
That's right. See the patience that God has with us, that when we are being awakened or we are being carried by an energy, we're resisting it. We're not taking that support of that energy. It's very supportive, very supportive. Yes, Neem.
Even I experienced God's love, when my mother passed away, which was 3 years ago, and I always thought not be able to live without her. That was always my take. But it was just seeing God as my mother and just eternal, always there and not temporarily. And it gave me so much power, and I felt so much love from God that it's holding me very tight, that you have nothing to lose. And of course, coming here and having the true knowledge of her part, that gives a lot of power and strength to face that time, which I thought was just not going to be possible. So even the family was kind of very surprised. How come mom is not crying? How come she's not breaking up? How is she so strong? And that is when it was felt. He holds his child and gives what the child needs.
That's right. Because God's love is not an emotional love. God's love is not a thinking love. It's not a headspace love. But it's a love that is nurturing. It's a love that has a lot of power in it, that makes things easy. Yes. Who else wants to share? Yeah.
Michelle, welcome.
Yes.
Sister Michelle.
Ajal, Ben, you will share.
I feel that God is always with me, but when I really notice, because he's there, I don't always, I get caught up in things. When the answer comes and it's the right answer, it's always, even when there's a challenge or it's not me that came up with that solution. It is absolutely, especially in, I don't want to say in every situation it is, but especially in relationships, work with people. If the answer comes and it's a good, loving answer, not me, it was him. So that's always.
That's the way he fills you with the love that makes you feel that, yes. But see how we're connecting with his love and feeling that's what's helping me to resolve the things. Yes. Brother will share. Yes, share.
Well, I honestly don't know what the definition of love is, but my expression of gratitude and my feeling towards something above me, I'm always grateful. And for the fact that I'm not caught up in the worldly life and I have time to come here, I think God loves me. That's why I'm here.
That's right.
So that's my definition.
Yes.
Feeling wise, I don't know how to express it, but I feel like that I have something above me, which is helping me out on each and every step. So that's it.
Very good. Again, to come here regularly, leave home, leave what you're doing and come to give yourself something more that is, spiritual. It's also a form of love that makes you do it. Yes.
Anyone
Kajal
else?
Ben, Kajal Ben.
The first thing I would say is definitely about waking up in the morning. I never thought I could do it. That's definitely not happening. So sometime, about 8 months ago, it just happened 3:30 in the morning, and he's been waking me up like 3:30. I'm like, no, let's do 4 o'clock. And no, it's always 3:30. I wake up and I go back to sleep afterwards, but I do my Amrit Wala like starting 30 minutes, 35, and now 40 minutes. I have to make it to 45 minutes soon. So, it's just like a journey. And then I feel every day, with my children, sometimes I hear that voice saying, have faith, have patience. And it always works because sometimes I'm very, the nature of my work is like, I work in anti-money laundering. So there's a lot of, fraudsters and, human trafficking, a lot of that kind of stuff. And so it's always like suspicion. So that's my nature, I never easily trusted. So I always hear that voice, trust, trust. So, and, I've started to imbibe that and it works for me. Everyday situations, at work, if I have to give difficult messages to my team, and I tell him before, like 1 minute before I sit in silence, please be with me and, be my voice. And I walk out happily out of the meeting when I'm stressed before. So, I would say little situations, little things every day.
Right. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I'd like to add to this if you have time.
Mhm.
On a big scale, you're sitting in a place that's a miracle because we never had the money to get all these properties. But Sister Anjani is not a minority. All the senior sisters and the Dotties, the original 88 years ago and all that, they all knew they could count on God, just the way Sister Anjani has so beautifully expressed it tonight. And Peace Village, that beautiful property upstate, was a gambling casino with an indoor swimming pool. How we ever put that together and made it into a beautiful retreat house. The Manhattan Center is on 3rd Avenue in the 30s.
Avenue.
5th Avenue in the 30s. It's crazy, but there is an energy. And if you haven't tapped into it yet, it simply takes the courage to know that what seems like reality in this crazy world isn't. And what we do here that seems a little, all right, I'm going to confess now, and everyone's going to think I'm crazy. If I'm surfing on my phone for a video to listen to, I love to listen to the seniors on YouTube, and something doesn't connect. I just assume I'm not supposed to see it, and it will invariably, you're smiling, it will invariably lead me to the video I was supposed to see and hear. Anybody in here have that? You just trust it because there's a positive truth in the energy, and we are vibrational. We're 97% water. We're not solid at all. You can crack your head on this, but that's because we have gravity and time here. But the reality is we're energetic. We're vibrational. Sure. Yeah. It's what?
So now that you said it, it's really quick. So, I don't know if it's main Sadhguru. So I started a Kriya. Yeah, I did. I used to do Kriya with him. And, hearing like, in spirituality, Kriya is the easiest way to reach God. And after I learned Kriya, spent so much time on it, so much energy, I was listening to Murli and also doing my Kriya. And I told Baba, I said, Baba, it's getting too much. I have to listen to the Murli, I have to do meditation, and then I'm doing the Kriya twice a day. It's taking like 3 or 4 hours of my time. And then randomly one day I'm surfing. I come across a class by Shilu Didi. First sentence she says, this is not a joke. She said, do not do any sharirik kriya, any bodily kriyas. You don't need to do it. I swear. And I was like, that day I dropped it. It was great, but
And here I'm holding on to something, and then here is this voice coming through somewhere to say, this is not what you have to do. And so if you really, and really for my brothers and sisters also on Zoom and everyone sitting in this room, this is the time that we need God more than any other time in our lives. This is the time that our brothers and sisters out there in the world needs God more than any other time in the whole drama of life. And I would say, let us all take the time. And when I say take the time, it means I don't have to leave the things that I'm doing, but just remind yourself to remember. Remember who? Remember the one who loves you more than anyone else in the world can love you. Human love will come and go, but this is the only love that will sustain, nurture, care for the soul. It would uplift the soul. It would forgive the soul. It will take expression in many, many forms to help us through life. And so let us bring God's love more closer to our hearts than ever. Let's not give importance to all the day-to-day things and giving that more priority. We have to do all those things. But while I'm doing it in the company of that being, the highest being, my parent, my friend, or my guide, or whichever is that relationship you choose, and feel that this being is carrying you through whatever it is that you have to do, or whatever is the stories of life that you need to sort out. You know, recently someone was going through a very, very, very challenging situation. And she said to me, she said, I just don't know. Without God, without Baba's, we say Baba, I don't think I would have survived this. It was very, very challenging. I don't want to go into the story. And she says, I have such courage. I have such power that everything went fine. Everything is going on fine. Even though the situation, certain things haven't changed, but she's doing well. She's standing strong. She's making clear decisions. And I'm actually amazed because a few weeks ago, I didn't see that in this. And see when the moment of crisis come and we're able to pull this energy, what can be missing out from them? Nothing. Everything is yours. So why do we wait for something to happen to pull this energy? Pull on this energy, keep this relationship and company as much as possible through the day. Find ways and means to remind the self and see the magic in your own life. And I would call it magic because on a human level, we can't do it. And I'm not talking about getting the things done and all of that. But the most challenging is when we have to change our own thoughts and our own feelings and our own behaviors and experience our own self to be in that form, which is like his image, like his child. It's his love that comes through for us. It's his gentle hand that touches us and helps us to grow and become spiritually strong and where we can manage. And so let's have a few minutes of meditation, or I would call it sweet remembrance. I feel loving God is the most valuable treasure any soul can receive. One is my love for God, and the other is God's love for me. God's love is filled with sweetness, even as He guides me on the path of truth. His love is filled with care. A of knowing that his children have to be uplifted. There has to be benefit for his children. And with his gentle hands, the unseen hands, it cleans the soul of all that which is acquired and gave pain and sorrow, created suffering. Everything gets clean. When one experiences loneliness, there is this silent company, this beautiful wave of feelings, of knowing that this belonging in relationship with God fulfills his promise. I remember him and he becomes present. God's love is filled with power. It's the power that helps me bear what I don't think I can do. He makes it easy. It is as though he gives a vision of seeing that it's all accomplished. And the soul only needs to remember him. And everything gets accomplished. It's a sweet bonding relationship. Nurturing the soul in every way through his knowledge, reminding me how sweet I am as his child. Every quality God fills in the soul that gives the soul the rights to live in joy and happiness. To share this love with humanity, all my brothers and sisters. We are all one world family, the family of God, the one who sees every soul with love. And the fortune in I as a soul is to recognize this being, to be close to this being, to have a relationship with this being, and to know that this being journeys with me, making everything easy and magical. My heart says with gratitude, thank you, thank you, thank you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Om Shanti. So this is the month of love. And when we meet next week, it will be almost Valentine's Day, which is the day to give gifts. So I'd like to give you all a little homework assignment. Be loving. Give someone the gift that is not material, not in your hand. You can wait till the 14th, which is some people call a Hallmark holiday, right? The card business is huge, but do something loving. And when you come back here next week, maybe you can think of what you did to go out of your way to be loving rather than give a material gift. And
Well,
then
when
on
you have
Valentine's
to
Day,
do that, when you have to express that form of love, hold one thought before you share that with someone. God loves me and God loves you. If I do that, I'm bringing in an energy which is not tying me in some, of expectations, but it's tying us together in a bond of love. So whoever, I like the idea that Luis is sharing, but bring this feeling in. God loves me. God loves this soul. And so it's a love that we are sharing together.
and it's
right?
contagious,
Yes.
truly. So we have a gift for you. Sister Anjani has a gift for you, and we're going to give Toli out on stage. And do come back next week for Brother Eric, who will talk to us more about love and the infinite possibilities. Okay. Zoomers, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here, everyone.